Hey guys, I had the cops called on me this morning. They arrested me, they threw me in the darkest cell of my local police station. I have no idea when I'm gonna get out of here. It's not all bad though. I've made some friends down here. I've met a guy named Reggie. I traded him all of my cigarette rations for an old cell phone, a pack of gum, and a Sharpie marker, and I've managed to scrounge together a Wi-Fi signal so that way I could bring you guys this update. It's no secret that my neighbors and I don't exactly get along. I believe I've commented on this a few times in my recent videos. I don't know if you guys can hear that, but that's the neighbors. My neighbors like to complain that I'm the loud one. The whole situation is nothing special, really. I live in an apartment building, they live above me, I live below them, we have to listen to each other, and neither of us are very happy about it. I consider myself a pretty reasonable guy, and I understand that part of living in an apartment means that I'm going to have to hear the general happenings of my neighbors. I'm going to hear some music, I'm going to hear their babies cry, and I'm going to hear their footsteps. Just for some added context, there are 6 people that live in the apartment above mine, 2 girls, their boyfriends, and each of their children. But enough about all of that. Let me give you guys a little bit of backstory before we leap into recent events. One of the boyfriends that I previously mentioned plays a major role in our little tale, but I don't actually know what his name is, so I'm going to very kindly refer to him from now on as Douchebag. Now, Douchebag is a very kind gentleman. He's always very keen to let me know that I'm being too loud, his preferred method being to bang on his floor, which would be my ceiling. He's also come to my door a few times to complain to me personally, but he has a very bad habit of placing his hand on my door so that way I cannot see him through the little view hole. I feel like every time that he's been to my door, he's been very disrespectful, and that coupled with the banging, I have chosen to ignore his complaints entirely. As I said earlier, I feel that I'm a fairly reasonable guy. I understand that I'm up at odd hours of the night. If you were to knock on my door at 5 in the morning and say, "Hey man, I'm trying to sleep, would you mind?" "Oh shit, man, I'm sorry. No problem." End of story. I'm a very firm believer that you only deserve as much respect as you give others, and as such, Douchebag has earned absolutely none of my respect. At this point, you're probably wondering to yourself, well, Kasha, why don't you speak to your landlord? Why don't you speak to the authorities? Well, I have, and neither of them are willing to do anything unless the situation becomes more severe. Now that you guys are a little more up to speed, let's talk about the situation that ended up with the authorities being called. It was 6:30 in the morning. I was cleaning out snake tanks, listening to light music, really feeling those positive vibes. During which, Douchebag began his traditional banging ritual, which continued on for a few minutes, and I chose to ignore it as per usual. I managed to get a small recording of the banging. The footage itself is nothing special, but it should give you guys a decent idea of what I'm talking about. Another few minutes passed, and Douchebag's girlfriend came knocking on my front door. Now, I had never actually spoken to this woman before. I opened the door, and she immediately began telling me that my music was too fucking loud and I needed to turn it down, otherwise she was going to call the police and get her boyfriend to come down to my door. Naturally, I didn't react positively to the situation, and I told her to go on right ahead. She left in quite the huff, and the banging ritual continued for about another 15 minutes or so before going silent. Shortly after, I noticed a police officer outside of my building. She came, she stood before my door. I assure you that the music was still playing at the same volume as it was when the incident began. She heard no music, and then she left without even bothering to knock on my door. To put it simply, she didn't bother knocking on my door because there was no problem. My neighbors are simply unhappy about the fact that I exist. This actually brings me to my favorite part of the story. The neighbors, unhappy with the fact that my music was continuing to play, took it upon themselves to begin ding-dong ditching me repeatedly. What the fuck are you guys even doing, ding-dong ditching me? Are you like 5 fucking years old? No, you guys have kids. You're my age or older. Seriously. Grow the fuck up. I don't know, something about the whole situation just makes me laugh. Like, they sat up there and they thought, man, you know, we're gonna ring his doorbell and then we're gonna leave. That'll teach him to be quiet. I mean, are you fucking stupid? So just so you guys know, the fact that you exist means that you make noise. And you know what? I hate you because of that. You are scum. Every single one of you, including myself. We make noise, therefore, we are scum, and we deserve to die. Anyway, guys, regardless of the fact that I am scum, I'll probably be spending the next 20 years or so of my life tunneling my way out of this prison, so I have to get going. And so we go.